Ready to rock and roll, man.
Alrighty, guys. Charles, Nick, and Ryan coming to you. Harness Adrenaline here at the Mile High Hunt and Fish Expo in Denver, Colorado. First inaugural year. I want to say thank you to Phil Mendoza and Guy with Western Contours who set this up for us. It's really cool. There's some background noise, but we have some stuff planned out for you guys that's going to be amazing. We actually have a guest speaker here. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're just going to have a little bit of fun today. A nice, relaxed conversation, and yeah, looking forward to it. This is a first. So, we usually do this on like cheap Yeti speakers or something like that.
I was going to say, bro, this is pretty sweet right here.
This is insane.
Pretty awesome.
What are you guys' thoughts of the expo?
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
A lot going on. A lot of booths, a lot of new stuff.
Only room to grow.
Right.
Seriously.
Oh, man, I love it. I enjoy this place a lot. There's so much to see, so many different people to talk to. Hopefully the turnout is good this weekend.
Yeah, the connections that you make here are insane.
Oh, yeah. There's so many great people.
It's nuts.
Getting a chance to talk to Derek Wolf. That dude is absolutely awesome, what he's doing for the industry.
Telling us to come to his place.
I know, man. I'm telling you, we're definitely gonna have to try to see if we get that invite to that, man. For sure.
I put in for the day off.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Pre-planned. That's right.
We are. Yes, we'll be there.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's here. Iron Will.
Yeah.
Obviously, Kuyu.
Yeah, we got the Phelps guys, Jason
and
Dirk
Slayer
Durham.
calls. Yep.
Yeah, Slayer's here.
Everyone.
Mile High Note calls and Colorado Game calls. I think you have a little bit of experience with those guys, Ryan, at all.
I was just talking with them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't know. I don't know anything about anybody outside like the Mile High Note a little bit, just because of Corey Jacobson and
right.
Things like that. So guys, we just got a few topics to go over. We're technically not starting for another 3 minutes, but we want to give you guys some extra content. So yeah, we'll actually wait for that. We'll just kind of joke around and chill. Make it look like we're all important.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's a lot to see around here. And I mean, the animals, I love the taxidermy, man. That's one thing I can always look at in sheds. I think I've said to like 5 different people if I could pick up some of their sheds, so I've been enjoying that.
Well, yeah.
You know me.
I mean, the amount of... I even saw a ibex shed just... I guess it's, if you're from New Mexico, you've probably seen a few of them. But
right.
That was unique and new to me, so that was pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Let's throw the fourth one on Luke here until our special guest gets here.
Okay. Throw that on for a little bit, Luke. Say what's up.
We got the youngest member of Harness Adrenaline here. Even younger than Lane, believe it or not. He looks the same age, though. They might be the same age. What's going on, Luke? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. How is this your second expo?
Yeah.
Or you've been to some Ducks Unlimited ones or no?
Yeah, a couple of Ducks Unlimited.
State convention or state awards banquet.
Right on, yeah. So you got some more experience than I do, to be honest, with these things. What's your thought of it?
Huh?
What is your thought of it?
I think they're pretty cool.
Yeah. What about this one in particular?
What's been your favorite thing?
Probably the simulations of the bows, the bow hunting simulations.
Yep.
It's a lot of fun.
Hopefully you win one of those hunts.
Yeah, no kidding.
Giving away 7 hunts.
That's insane. 7 hunt giveaways. Plus, we got entered into a giveaway right off the bat that had, 20 different prizes.
20 different prizes.
Almost every single booth has something that they're trying to give away.
And we'll be hitting them after this.
Oh,
We'll be sticking
absolutely. So many different raffles.
some
Ducks
names in the
Unlimited's
hat.
got some great stuff as always. Shout out to Ducks Unlimited because they're big time for sure.
They have a beautiful booth.
Yeah.
Probably one of the nicer ones here, to be honest.
They're supposed to have that calling contest after.
Oh, yeah?
That's right.
Yep, I got you entered.
No.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
You're going to sit there. Here, ducks. Here, ducks. Here, ducks.
Yeah, exactly. Quack, quack, buddy. Please.
Look at all those chickens. Hey, some of the waterfowl footage looks like ours back there.
Oh, yep.
Shot cam. BT Outfitters, man. Shout out to those guys. That waterfowl footage is super clear on the shot cam. That's awesome.
I was talking to some guys from Dive Bomb yesterday at the Gladiator and Kafaru thing.
Yeah.
And all of them have heard or know of you guys. No one knows me.
Well, it's funny too. There's another gentleman here that he does some waterfowl guiding. Actually, just east of here. I was telling you about him at the last expo we did. What was that, in February? But he recognized me from the 207 bird day.
Okay.
He's like, oh yeah, I saw that on Facebook and everything like that. He's like, that's insane, asking me all types of stuff, telling him about all the spins and everything. And
It was spinning upon spinning.
oh
It
yeah,
was-
birds were raining down and more were coming up off the top.
when I looked over at you and you had shotgun shells in your mouth just because you couldn't grab it quick enough out of your pocket.
So I'd loaded, full loaded, had one in my hand, and then I had one in my teeth. Like, that's how you know it gets wild. That stuff was super crazy.
I was talking with Logan from CRWM and Hal, and he was saying that he has, he gets tons of waterfowl. He used to waterfowl across all the states from like latter September until like, when we end here.
Gotcha.
And he's like, I would leave and my wife would be so mad. He's like, because she's, well, you're not bringing home any elk, no deer. He's like, you're just waterfowl hunting. And he's like, yeah. Like, he's going to South Dakota, I think, tomorrow to set some stuff up with some guys. So he gets after it. I need to introduce you to him.
So South Dakota's a good place.
Yeah, he gets after it. He's a fun dude, especially when you get a couple bourbons in him, and me for that matter.
Well, and there's always going to be opportunities. Ryan is definitely the waterfowl guy for sure. He knows that game tremendously. We got to do some more upland bird because I know you know that really well as well.
So pheasant hunting is that's my thing.
Yeah, exactly. So
I
we got
love
to
the
figure
pheasant.
out where we can do that. But I just hope everyone's excited for the big game draw. Obviously, we got till the end of May to figure out what everyone's going to get. But right now is a great time to start planning and figure out where you're going to be.
And having plan Bs if you are entering in those draws, just in
100%.
case.
Yep.
Definitely want to jump on that. If you have a youth and things like that, you get access to 100% first access to the second
second
draw
draw.
there. I mean, that's huge.
Yep.
I was actually talking to a guy and a lady, husband and wife combo, and they own like 40,000 acres statewide, and they do like free doe and cow hunts for kids under 16.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's another place that we should go.
Yeah.
Get Luke getting after it. I
Well,
can't.
Luke's probably going to be pretty busy because we're hoping that he's going to draw Iowa this year too.
That's
So that's going to
December
be a
tag.
good one. That'll be
Kill a 160-inch whitetail.
well, maybe.
We'll see.
Who knows
I
what's
mean,
there?
It'll be his first deer, so
Yeah.
Oh,
First
heck
thing
yeah.
he wants to pull the trigger
Yeah,
on,
yeah. he's
But-
going to have a selection, that's for sure.
That'll be a different experience though too, because that'll be more of a deer drive, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
cool.
So yeah, that's not
I've never
typical
done that.
hunt,
I've always heard of them. That's cool.
right? Shotgun,
Yep.
So
So with the deer drive, I imagine it's like a pheasant drive. I've done that in Kansas before a few times. Do you have like pushers and all that, or
So basically, what you do, it's a lot of them are like 600 acre-ish farm, like plots, soybean, corn with a creek split in the two. So you set up guys on the perimeter, and then you have about 4 people walk that center, and they just kind of bump out, or sometimes the pushers are sometimes the best ones because they get to see the deer the first.
oh,
So they get a they bump
Kinda
out
like
of the bed.
it ain't moving yet.
So, yep. So once that first shot hits, then it is just a spree of, the deer go everywhere. They pop out from grass that you didn't even see them, tucked into.
I was hunting stories. I think maybe it's like I don't know if it's a podcast or an Audible book, but they were saying I was reading one or listening to one, and a guy actually had broke everything in his leg because he was part of the deer drive, and he had walked up on a buck that no one else saw. And they were in a line. He walked up on it, and it jumped up and just
Got him.
shattered him. So
Yeah, we haven't run into that. usually they disappear,
Yeah.
And it's a lot of cottonwoods and like really tall, like just berms of grass, brush. So sometimes even if you see them, you don't have a clear shot. So sometimes the pushers just they just kind of flush them out, and then they'll run right to the fence, and this guy will get them, and if not, this guy over here's got them.
that's awesome.
But they destroy a ton of the farmland. There's so many whitetail around there that they're just
They need conservation. I mean, that's the number one thing. Yeah.
Yep, they got to keep those numbers down.
Not to mention getting new people into it. that's an easy way, that waterfowl hunting, things like that. Great ways to get people who aren't maybe into hunting, or who, oh yeah, I've hunted once or twice. It kind of giving them the bug is what Logan and I were talking about yesterday.
Rabbits is what he started with. I mean,
yeah,
that was
same here. Rabbits and shooting prairie dogs, just to shoot. So let's get rolling here. Our special guest might show up here pretty soon. He's a busy fella, and shout out to him regardless if he does or doesn't. But let's just get going. You guys hear that? Yeah, if that was real, I would not be recording the pod anymore. We would all be getting after it. So, God, that sounds great. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about hunting strategies, where in the outdoors all of us have found success, because it's so different from person to person, as well as some of our favorite gear that we use on special hunts, or maybe even every time. Like, what's that one thing that you have every time?
Yeah, so I mean, basically, what I would say is there's obviously, a good backpack. That's typical gear that you need to have continuously. But I mean, Randy Newberg says it all the time. There's a difference between gear and gadgets. Yep. Right. And there's definitely a play for certain things. Again, you can change it up from a rifle hunt, late season rifle hunt, early season archery hunt, whatever the case may be. But like, we've done early season rifle bear hunts that are in September. And so it's like, you're not carrying that heavy winter clothing. You're trying to stay pretty light. Backpack usually doesn't weigh a whole lot.
No.
I mean, we've cut them down to 15 to 20 pounds maybe.
and you're going in with wearing a sweater, and then at sunlight you're taking
Taking
that
it off.
Yeah, I mean you're down
Yeah.
to
One thing I don't ever go out in the woods without is a good mapping system, right? That's number one.
Yeah.
I've started trying out the Scout to Hunt stuff just because Taylor with Stay Glass and always talks about that one. And I think that thing is awesome. There's so much you can do on it. I'm obviously still using Onyx, but just for me, Onyx doesn't like to work on my phone for tracking, especially.
Really?
So, yeah, for whatever reason, I don't know. Samsung guy, that's probably the problem.
say mine won't do the curves. It just does
It's straight
lines.
lines. Yeah. Every time I open it, it'll jump me my pin all the way over, so it never actually tracks my feet. So like, I lost my binos last year, and tried to go back, but it had the same thing. It just had straight lines. So I was like trying to remember as I'm walking through, tracking it back, where I was and stuff, and of course never found them.
By the tree and the rock.
By the tree and the rock. Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Taylor for that one. By the tree, next to the rock.
In the shade.
In the shade. Not that sunny part with the snow.
Not the tree, the log on the ground.
Yeah.
So then in terms of actual gear, you mentioned the backpack and things like that.
Yeah.
What's something that maybe you have for a specific type of hunt but you don't have for other hunts?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest change in that, shout out to Martin Chag, actually, just see some guys wearing his hat out here. That dude gets after it big time. Sorry. Side note. One thing I would say different, archery season to rifle hunt is, for me personally, is the amount of food and amount of water, honestly. That's not necessarily gear per se. But in like archery season, I feel like you're burning a lot. You're moving around a lot. You need a lot of water. It's hot. You're sweating. And then in the rifle hunt, just because you end up doing so much glassing, I usually don't take near as much food or water, honestly.
Right.
But otherwise, I mean, my pack is pretty much loaded the same: knives, bags, all the quote-unquote typical things, like I said. Rangefinder you always need, binos you always need. Actually, that's one good difference, is archery season, I'm not carrying a spotting scope.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight.
That's a huge difference right there. No matter how light
And
your
even
tripod
space.
is,
Yeah.
absolutely. So that's kind of the biggest difference, I think, for me going into the woods.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan?
Extra socks.
Yep, that was on my list. Yeah.
Extra socks, first aid kit.
Smart.
Yeah.
That's, I think, one of the most overlooked things. Band-Aids and something to
You're
wrap.
just saying that because of me. Just because I cut my hand on pretty much everything, even like a stick.
Well, I like to walk into branches. So, I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
or looking down and hit my head on the
Well, what about you, Charles? What do you think? I mean,
I mean, for me, I would probably say the type of boots I wear.
Right.
That's one thing. That's one place that I've never cheaped on.
okay.
And then you kind of said backpack, but I would say for the first time in probably 4 years, I had a backpack on yesterday, actually, matter of fact, with the Kafaru guys. Shout out all of them. And they fit me. Like, they put the pack on, hey, this is where it should be. And this whole time, you don't realize how crucial that is.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this whole time, my backpack was like this beat up at the top, which is why all that weight always felt so heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, no, your hip belt should be in the middle of your hips, not on your hips. My hip belt's always been above my
Higher.
hips.
Yeah.
And so that's causing the weight at the top to just kind of like just
Pull
be
back.
there. Yeah.
Feels like someone's yanking back on you.
Exactly. And so learning that, that's got to be something that's got to be in my repertoire no matter when I go. A good base layer, too.
Poncho.
Poncho.
Poncho, rain gear,
For
anything
sure.
like that. I mean, and that's the thing is, ponchos are so nice, light, and packable.
Right.
Versus rain gear, it's expensive, and when you can prepare with it, it works well, but it's heavy as heck, and makes your pack heavy as heck.
I was gonna say though, have you felt that new Scree stuff, dude?
It's so light.
Oh my
I like
gosh,
it.
that stuff is on a different level, honestly. And I love that material. That stuff is just so quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't wait to get that stuff on for
Yeah,
sure.
Shout out to Josh Nielsen with Scree.
Yeah, Josh, you are the man. You hooked it up big time, dude. We are so excited to get out with you, and I'm excited to wear that stuff for my hunts going forward.
The big things to come with Scree and really everybody. So I'm not sure if he's going to come today, guys, but our special guest was Dave Brinker. You guys might know him. He's a content creator like the rest of us. He also is a musician, a country musician. He plays this song I like a lot called Altitude. Nick, you've heard that one.
Yep.
And he's also a podcaster. Gets after it on the pod. And so shout out to him for even being willing on literally a last second notice. But Brian Call just got to the peak booth, so I imagine they're probably hooking up.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. He's always
Chatting
tied
it up.
up and busy. I mean, I appreciate him even considering taking the time with us. But
Big time.
Isn't the elk calling contest going on right now too?
it is,
That's
yep.
probably
I think
something
some of
else that
that
he's probably
started.
involved in.
You know, there's always a lot of stuff going on. It's kind of hard to keep up with everything. I mean, even in Utah, it was insane. And Utah is probably 4 or 5 times as big as this. But
Run an extension cord, we can bring that in there.
yeah, no kid,
We'll
take
just
this whole
take-
setup
yeah.
with us. Yeah, exactly.
Grab the couch.
They might not like that too much. Ryan would, though. Ryan likes to test the limits
It's
until
fun.
someone says no.
It's fun.
Oh boy. So that was some gear, guys. Let's talk about where in the woods or where in the outdoors you have found success. It doesn't need to be woods; could be on the water. Just where in the outdoors, Nick, have you truly found what you would say is your special entree that
Well, so I mean, there's a few different instances, but again, for me, it's not. I've been blessed to kill a different big game animal the last 3 years, especially when I choose to focus on one particular animal. But it's always about time. I don't know how many hours and how many miles Cookie Monster has done with me. Truly, it's been insane. Anywhere I want to go, anytime, always willing to get out. Luke's been getting out a ton with us. We were actually just talking to the Iron Will guys about that, and Luke did 12 and a half miles, didn't even complain once.
Wow.
Like, that to me is a huge moment, not just for him, but for us as a group.
That's one of our hardest ones.
Yeah, that was a tough day, long. I don't even think we ended up picking up anything that day. Oh, I think we did have a couple of smaller ones, smaller elk and maybe one deer.
I was gonna say, man, they all blend in
I
together.
know, now they do. But yeah, it's really like, for me, success is so much into the moments. And so I think I mentioned before, I was on that Gunnison hunt with those older gentlemen, and that gentleman, Weldon, he shot a moose and a goat in the same year, and then his next year was a sheep, I think is how the rotation went. And just to think about that, I mean, he was, I believe, in his 70s at the time.
Right.
And that's just nuts, man, to think about that ability and drive to still get out and enjoy it. And, he didn't shoot record books. And, it was being able to go on that hunt before your time gets called, essentially, or your last hunt ends up being. So
I mean, think about that. Like 70 years old, right? So there's two different 70-year-olds that we could talk about, right?
Right.
Like group-wise, I guess. You could have, you know, I know people even close to me, for that matter, who at 70 truly were almost immobilized, you know. And then you hear, oh, I was moose, goat, and sheep hunting.
yeah.
I mean, that's, you talk about two different types of ends of the spectrum.
Oh yeah.
That's
the
crazy.
thing, you know.
Wow.
And I think that thankfully a lot of hunters are really focused on health. I mean, especially nowadays, it just matters so much to push yourself, push your abilities, and to do what most of the other population out there hunting isn't willing to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, I forget who says it, but there's someone that always mentions that it really doesn't take a whole lot it doesn't take a whole lot of effort extra to be better than the average.
Yeah.
Honestly. If you just put in a little bit extra time, a little bit extra effort, you'll be above average every single day and beat out the just quote-unquote average Joes, you know. And I mean, no disrespect to anyone that's trying to get out and do it. You know, it's not easy. Again, elk hunting is not easy in any aspect. So
Health is a mental state of mind.
yeah, for sure. You got to be able to take care of yourself, though, too. I mean, we're probably pretty bad with that, though. All the snacks we end up eating in the blind.
I was gonna say we
But
bring little Debbie's up.
yeah, that doesn't really help out too much. Donuts and whatever else.
Donuts are delicious.
But
though.
I mean, to be fair, we kind of
try and balance it.
Yeah, we balance it out with really long, heavy hikes.
You guys put 550, 600 miles on your boots a year. I mean, you can indulge sometimes if you're doing stuff like that.
That's the thing. I mean, I'm struggling to put on weight right now, so.
Take some of mine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, time, dude. Time is always important for me.
Right on.
That's what I define as success. If we enjoyed ourselves, if we learned something, that is always the greatest. I mean, I would love to shoot a big bull here this year, but truly, I will probably shoot the first 6-point I see. That's a good size in that unit, just because I know what bulls are in there. But
Yeah. Huge. What about you, Ryan? Where in the outdoors have you found the most success?
The cornfield.
Yeah. I know that's right.
I mean, since I've been here, I haven't got to take any big game other than turkey.
Yeah.
Since I moved to Colorado 7
Yeah.
years ago, Nick's been taking me out, showing me all the fun stuff.
Guys, we have some.
So I guess the water in the cornfield would be my
yeah,
on the lakes, on the rivers.
I'm saying.
You know, out in the fields. You know, the geese.
We've done some
the ducks.
amazing trips, bro. But yeah, I mean, you've got some hunting background yourself.
See a lot of birds.
Yeah, no doubt. There's so much there. The birds is huge. The birds has been beneficial too for the off season.
Right.
There's been, I mean, again, it's an easier situation you kind of get yourself into. You kind of just sit in the blind, enjoy, and BS a little bit.
Right.
So
Good time with the friends.
All righty, guys. So we.
How you doing, Dave?
Good. Ryan.
Nice to meet you, Dave.
Nicholas.
Nick.
Nice
Good
to meet you.
Can I call you Nick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You're perfectly
What's your
fine.
name, bro? Chris. Lucas. Nice to meet you.
So we have podcast, hunting, creator content, royalty here.
Yeah, right.
Education, royalty, and country royalty here. And Dave Brinker, man.
I appreciate you guys having me
I
on.
want to say thank you, man. Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
So we just kind of went through some gear that we believe that you couldn't really. What are things that you say are situational? Maybe a piece or two of gear that you consider situational, and then what's a piece that you consider? I bring this no matter if I'm duck hunting on the plains or at 13,000 feet chasing goats.
Well, I haven't yet. Maybe I have duck hunted on the plains. I can't remember. But I'm not a big waterfowl guy, so I can't speak as much to that.
Yep, all good.
But basically things I never leave the truck with. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Number one, some people skimp on this. I never do. Is a rain jacket, rain pants.
For sure.
I never leave the truck. Doesn't matter what season it is without at least a puffy jacket.
Smart.
And probably after October 1st without puffy pants.
Okay.
So I have a full puffy system and a rain system because I know that if I fall and break my leg and I can't get out,
You can at least stay warm. And
I can sleep the whole
dry.
night basically, and I'm going to stay dry and I'll survive. I don't know that I'll be warm,
Right.
but I'll be
Dry.
alive when
Yeah.
I wake up the next morning.
as dry as you can be.
Yes.
Yeah.
But oftentimes you end up using that stuff when a thunderstorm rolls in. You're sitting glassing. It's colder than you think.
The Northwest, if you're hunting there, I mean,
Yes.
every day,
Yes.
literally.
And some guys might say that's a lot of weight to carry. It's really not that much weight to carry when you stuff it down in a little compression sack.
Right.
And I just those things really never leave the bottom of my pack. And then obviously I have a first aid kit that's pretty thorough. A lot of guys skimp on that, and I can tell you from experience, I put an arrow through my leg a few years ago.
Oh, with Corey Jacobs?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. Hunt.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a tourniquet. Not one of us had a tourniquet.
Wow.
And a variety of other things. So now I carry actually a pretty extensive first aid kit. Probably more than I need.
Yeah.
But you just don't know. And I for sure always have a tourniquet now. And the tourniquet's separate out of the bag, easy to get to. I know where it is. Let's see, what else? I never leave the truck anywhere, actually all year, without my DeLorme,
Okay.
my satellite communication device,
Yeah, of course.
because I work in the woods a lot. My regular business is in real estate, a land company, so I'm out in the woods a lot. And if I fall, break my leg, get knocked out, get attacked by a mountain lion, whatever, right? I have something I can hit a button.
And yeah, you can be found.
Yes, and I actually use my DeLorme a lot. I just texting my wife. It's pretty cheap now to do that, so I never leave without that. That's for sure.
I used to wildland firefight for really one tour because my buddy got actually killed during it. I came back and then he went and he didn't come back.
Oh, geez.
But a buddy of ours that we took the certification class with, we would switch in-reaches, the old big in-reaches. And so I would be texting, my mom for I'd hunt with my dad, and I'd text my mom from the middle of the mountain, like, hey, like everything's all good, just checking in, saying hi, so it's important to have that communication.
Yeah, and your wife appreciates it.
Yeah, exactly so.
I use it I buy whatever the unlimited plan is, and I can just use it as my phone, because oftentimes we don't have service, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally all the time.
Right.
So, Dave, can you just give us maybe like a quick rundown on who you are and what you do? I mean, you're a star and a legend. I'll just tell you that straight up. I've followed you for a long time.
That now you and my kids are my audience, so I appreciate that.
It's good company.
My kids always say, "Are you famous?" I'm like, "No, dude, no. Maybe in my little tiny world that I live in."
Right.
but-
Yeah. In the right circles. though.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Yeah, man. I'm a totally average rural American kid. Grew up in Dallas, Oregon. Graduated high school with a 2.0. Actually, less than that. It was a 1.89. Didn't go to college immediately. Ended up going to college at 22 years old. In the middle of college, or about towards the end, I met the founders of Sitka Gear, right when they were starting.
Wow.
And they hired me as it was Jonathan, Jason, the two founders, Jonathan's brother, PK, and then me. So I was the fourth employee at Sitka Gear.
That's huge.
Moved to California, again, as just a kind of a dirtbag hunter kid that had big dreams. My dad was an entrepreneur, so he never had a normal job my whole life, so I kind of saw what a little bit of grit and creativity can do.
Drive.
Yeah,
for sure.
And my grandpa was the same way. My grandpa was kind of like that, so it just kind of runs in my family to try to just create a life that you design.
Yeah, for sure.
So when I got the opportunity at Sitka, I took it, and I used it as a basically another form of college, because in college I didn't really learn jack.
Facts.
If I cuss on this podcast, I apologize, because I
Do what you need to do.
had
man.
to get edited out yesterday
That's awesome.
on Grady's podcast. So anyways, I was there for 11 years, and it was basically like getting a PhD in building companies.
Awesome.
Maybe probably even more than that. I mean, it was my entire life for 11 years was building that. I ended up starting as an intern, going into sales, and then I ended up being the marketing director for Sitka most of my career there.
Wow.
I left there in 2018, and I was in Montana at the time, and decided to move my family back to Oregon. I have 3 kids, and we wanted to be around our family. Came back to Oregon and started it basically at ground zero in a totally new industry,
Right.
real estate. and started my own brand. My dad's been doing it for 40 years, so it's not all the way at ground zero, but basically started a brand with him, built that up, and then I decided I wanted to start consulting back in this industry. In the meantime, while I was doing that, I'm also a musician. I put out some music.
Yeah.
That's like a hobby thing for me. I put out music and
Great music.
thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
But then I got became involved with Peaks Equipment, which I'm a partner in. Decided to help build that brand, and some other companies too. So I'm just kind of like, I have a podcast, as you know.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm kind of just like a serial entrepreneur dude who some days I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Some days I do.
Yeah, that's all.
Some days you
Some
fail.
of that.
Some days you win. Some days you lose.
Right.
You know, it's like a country song, right?
Perfect.
And meanwhile, my whole life I've been bow hunting since I was 3 years old, for
Right.
birds, squirrels, and salamanders and frogs, and it's been basically my whole life my main thing. So I've hunted all over the world and all over the country, and it's a huge blessing, and it saved my life in many ways.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. So we were all just going over our where in the outdoors you found success. And I think you kind of just told us, just kind of being a kind of grunt kid who had a drive, right? Where would you consider you're like, wow, this is where I truly thrive in outdoor settings.
I would flip it around to
Okay.
say that the outdoors has provided a mechanism for me to find success outside of the outdoors.
Huge.
And the reason for that is you learn so much. I can only really speak. I've done a lot of types of hunting, but I'm primarily a Western hunter, right?
Sure.
But you learn so much in the backcountry that is applicable to life because it's pretty constantly failure.
Right.
And you're right on the verge of quitting it almost every minute, right? So you learn discipline and resilience and setting goals and planning and being creative and strategizing and executing under pressure. All these things, what I learned is I wasn't like ever naturally intellectual,
Right.
but I'm like, I'm a pretty good hunter. And if I can do that, I can figure out a way to be successful in the woods, right? So I've found success in life because of the outdoors. Finding success in the outdoors is really just about putting the time in and surrounding and learning. And because the problem with hunting, as opposed to like a martial art, which I also do as a hobby, martial art, like I do jujitsu 3 times a week, right?
Right on.
You can't really do that. Most of us can't do that with hunting.
Right.
You get 10 days of year of elk hunting if you're lucky, right?
Yeah.
So it takes years. You have to wait another year to get another 10 days of experience, and then
Right.
another year to get another 10 days of experience. So hunting's a much slower learning curve. So what you have to do is you have to figure out a way to spread it throughout your whole year. Maybe you do bears, maybe you do turkeys, maybe you do waterfowl. Maybe you shoot archery tournaments. Maybe you come to shows and you meet people that can, it's like this constant journey, but I do believe it can improve your life as a whole.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I kind of had some notes here on where I have found success, and I'd say I'm still kind of searching for it in terms of that. Every time I find something new, I just progress from that and build on that. For me, it's there's never been a most. I was raised and we were that family, right? We hunted big game rifle one time a year, and that's truly it.
Yeah.
And maybe we'd go pheasant hunting, 1-2 days in the
Right.
Just on the plains.
Right.
But it was never a life,
Right.
like it is now, a love.
Yes.
And I battled through a lot of things just to know a little bit for the podcast listeners and for you. I have major heart issues. I had heart surgery in 2018, and so I've been with Nick literally elk hunting, and my beats per minute was like 210, 215.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And like I'm seeing like black like that curtain behind you.
Oh,
like,
geez.
but like you said, you got to put in the time and effort.
Yeah.
To something that, because when you find something that you truly love, I was joking with my mom on that. I checked in with her on that hunt actually, and I was like, Mom, I don't care if this is it. Like, this is where I want to be doing what I
Right.
want to do.
Right.
And I think maybe Nick and I even I had maybe like a minor cry session or something like that. It's like, dude, like I don't care. I just want to be out here getting after it. And so that's kind of how I find success, is just pushing limits that I truly, maybe most people in my situation wouldn't be. And to that count, I haven't even, I'm just getting started, and that's what's cool about it.
When did you start? As a kid?
Yeah, I've hunted my whole life.
Okay.
But again, it was like I hunted one time a year my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I hunted as a year-round thing maybe 5-6 years ago. So that's kind of when that all
Yeah,
got
dude. My 71-year-old dad, who's been hunting since he was 5,
Yeah.
would probably tell you it's still like a grind of learning.
Yeah.
Right?
You never stop learning.
Especially if you switch around species.
Yeah.
Because every species is totally different.
Completely different.
Yeah, man. That's what's fun about it, though. Things that aren't hard to learn aren't that. I don't find a lot of pleasure in it.
There's no challenge.
Right. That's why I started playing guitar.
Right.
That's why I do jujitsu. That's why I love hunting. Like, I actually have chose like some of the hardest things to try to learn. But I think that's kind of the fun part about it. And when you become really good at something, it's really hard to keep it exciting.
Yeah.
My jiu-jitsu coach always tells me when he was actually probably more excited to be a brown belt as opposed to a black belt. Because a brown belt, you're almost to the black belt, dude. Like what you've been searching for 10 years. Then you get your black belt and you're like, this is it?
Yeah, right.
I just want to go back to being a white belt now because it's exciting.
Yeah.
And because I don't feel like I feel like there's so much more for me to learn, right? That's how hunting is.
100%.
You might go out on a day and just slay a giant bull.
Yeah.
And you're like, I got this figured out. And then you're going to have 2 seasons and you eat your tag.
Oh yeah,
Eating tag.
too many times.
Too many
More
times.
often than not.
I mean,
I do the worst thing. I'm like, I'll look at him and I'm looking at the map, or we're overlooking a drainage or something, and I'm like, you willing to go down there with me? And he's always one that's like, yep, let's do it. And sometimes you get down there and back up and you're like, that was dumb. But at least you won't do it again.
It makes a good story.
Oh, it
yeah.
does.
That's-
We've had some days where it's like soaking wet, no food, no water.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
The trail cam was probably one of the best
That
ones.
was so great.
Going in to pick up 2 trail cams. We didn't have any gear, like hardly. We had a backpack and a little bit of water, a couple of little Debbies.
Yeah.
It ends up raining for like 4 hours.
Oh.
We come out with 3 browns and a chalk, 2 deadheads.
2 deadheads.
I mean,
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was a great shed day.
Yeah.
And we got the cameras, but
Hey.
it poured on. I mean, it was
Rained
just
all day long.
Yeah,
soaking wet.
that type of stuff happens.
I mean, we were
man.
wringing socks out,
Oh,
sitting
geez.
there in the yeah.
That's actually dangerous.
that,
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, thankfully that was middle August, I think,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
end of
just-
August
yeah.
roughly. But yeah, I mean, it was just.
was that the deer shed day too? When
Yeah,
that was the one
yeah,
that
'cause
started
that
off?
was the started off.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're the one that usually starts it. If we're going in and you find something, I'm like, you can't do
Right.
that. I got to find something too now.
Oh, yeah, you got 2 deadheads and 2 sheds. Yeah.
That was crazy, and one of them was good too. So,
the competition's always good
oh, 100%.
because it's friendly competition. To your point, though, Dave, I told these guys on the last podcast, in my profession, I sell in like sales for like everything for wood except wood itself. So like finishes, stains. Things.
Okay.
And so when I'm teaching a class, I say, do you have 20 years of experience, of flooring experience, or do you have 20 years doing the same thing that you learned that first year over and over?
Oh yeah.
And I apply that to not only Harness Adrenaline, our company, but also my hunting life and really everything I do since I've started seeing that.
It's totally true in this industry because you'll meet guys. Guys are notorious for this because our ego gets in the way.
100%.
And I actually did this for years. For years I thought I was a great elk hunter.
Yeah.
And then I met some elk hunters I've been blessed. I've hunted with pretty much all my idols and the people that I consider to be the best of the best in all different styles. And what I learned was there's levels.
Yeah.
And there was a couple people where I went out with them and I literally felt like it was my first day of elk hunting. They were so much better than me. They're that much better than me. And I'm like, and I would go back and go, why? Oh, it's because I did exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I basically used the same formula my whole life.
Right.
And what happened was, dude, you will get so much better, so much more fast if you just open your mind to think you actually might be doing it totally wrong.
100%.
And usually the data will speak for itself. Guys won't really pay attention to it. Like the average bow hunter kills 1 bull per 10 years or
Yep.
something.
10%.
That's not very good. right?
No,
That's like, I don't know if you guys play golf or not, but
I do. It's
you know,
I'm
the
not
average
good at that, too.
golfer goes out and shoots 90.
Right.
90 is not very good,
Yeah.
right?
If I hit 90, though, I'd be happy.
Yeah, but it's but if
I
you
can find
actually
my
if you
ball.
it would actually not be that hard for most people to get to 80 or 79
Right.
if they actually just open their mind to trying to put the work in to improve it. Hunting's the same way. If we just set our ego aside and be like, you know what, you're right, I could be a lot better. I'd like to kill a bull every other year or every year. Maybe what I'm doing doesn't work. Clearly the stats say it doesn't.
Right.
I know it was true for me. I mean, even though I was killing bulls pretty much every year, and a lot of years with my recurve. So
Wow.
I had to be pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now looking back, I sucked compared to what I know now. What I know now, I feel like what I've learned the last 10 years of hunting with people that are actually at a whole nother level, dude, there is a mountain to learn that most men's egos won't allow them to process.
That's kind of how I felt my first year hunting with Nick. And I think I told Nick, I was like, I've never hunted before. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe when I met him, or we've known each other since, whatever,
Youngins.
6th grade.
Yeah.
But when we started hunting a lot together, was maybe 6 years ago, something
Yeah.
like that. And I just came off getting skunked for like 4 years in a row. And I met him, and I hunted with him. I think it was turkey hunting, and everything changed. His mindset is insane. I tell him all the time. He doesn't like me to tell him, but it's truly admirable learning from someone like that, because you think I was that. I was that. I was like, oh, dude, yeah. Talk to all my friends who don't hunt. Yeah, I hunt all the time. My freezer's also empty. So I'm not doing something right.
Yeah.
And so when I finally met Nick, he's like, hey, you can get after it, and
Yeah.
truly opened a whole new avenue.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, it's not like I know a whole massive amount, nothing I could throw into a book, but I'm just definitely, there's, like you said, situationally, there's things that you're going to try and that fail, and statistically are going to show time and time again that aren't going to truly work.
Yep.
And it's had to change. Hunting has had to change since my dad was a hunting guide.
Yeah.
And it's like even the last 10 years, we talk about this a lot. Things have completely changed from what they used to be, the pressure, the animals, everything. So if you're not willing to adapt and grow individually in yourself, you're not going to help anyone around you as well be successful.
I see guys do this all the time. Good friends of mine. They fail year to year and do the same things, complain about the same things, go to the same stupid spots.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, at this point, it's all on your shoulders.
Just wasting money. It's an expensive camping trip.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
No, and there's so much opportunity out there. I mean, the Hush guys are awesome. They throw down them bulls last year.
Yeah.
We were on the late season cow hunt and tagged out 4 elk in 24 hours. I mean, there's ways to get it done.
Oh, yeah.
It's just about how bad you really want it, and like you said, how willing you are to grow.
Well, turkey season, I mean, we spent that whole first year
Oh,
learning
putzing around.
learning. I mean, we had them gobbling all around us. We just
Couldn't figure out how to get them
we
in.
didn't know what. We had to learn so much.
And those high
every
mountain
weekend.
turkeys are different. We're not sitting out in someone's field.
Right. Yeah,
we
no
are
cornfield.
literally, running some county roads.
I think I've
and-
decided I'm going to stay a sucky turkey hunter.
Yeah, I'm not against it.
I am a total white belt turkey hunter.
Yeah.
Oh,
we-
it's just something I've never really dove into a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, every species is different.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
That's the thing for sure.
So one last thing for you, Dave. I just want you to share what is the hunting strategy that you use when you're hunting, let's say, September elk in the West? What is the number, are you spot and stock and, just kind of glass and ridges? Are you chasing? What are you doing?
So at the highest level, the best strategy is right between your ears before you even get there. Meaning, have you put the work in and the research in and the knowledge of the species? I've spent my whole life learning elk. So I truly believe you could dump me in just about any mountain range with elk in it and I could kill an elk.
Awesome.
So I don't worry about a lot of that stuff anymore because I know the species very well. What strategy do I use to actually kill the elk with
Yeah.
my bow is probably I rifle hunt too. I think I use my ears and my eyes a lot more than I used to, and I'm not talking about listening for bugles.
Okay.
I'm talking about once I know I'm in an area where there's a bull that I want to kill, I spend a lot of time just hanging out and just listening. I think too many dudes are moving around too much and not paying attention, not letting themselves get ingrained in what's going on. All the sounds, the squirrels, the birds, the wind, the trees. And once you really get in tune with where you're at, I know it sounds kind of woo-woo.
No.
You'll start to hear things that you didn't hear before. A stick pop, a rock roll, a calf call that's light, a light bed bugle, whatever. I've just found that once I've started using all the other skills too, right?
Right.
But once I know I'm in the area, I know there's this bull here that I want to kill. And I'm just assuming it's not a rut fest, there's not bugles everywhere. It's quiet, everybody else is sucking it up. I sit my ass down on the highest point I can find.
Right.
Until I either spot something or hear something or decide that this area is a bust. Once I identify where they are, I have pretty much almost all the way put away the calls. I use calls only for locating now. In some very strategic situations, I'll use them to call a bull in, but I mostly only use them for location now. Once the bull makes a sound and tells me where he is, I can kill him.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, I switched to Ninja.
That's awesome.
And somebody told me one time, and again, it took me years for my ego to allow it in, because I used to be a heavy caller, but shit's changed.
Oh no, well that's.
He said, why would you tell them where you are
Yep.
if they're telling you where they are?
See it, and we ran into that situation in archery season last year.
Last year.
Yeah, I mean, we had elk screaming their heads off, but it just got to a point where it was just like, I kept telling him, I was like, I don't know what it is about this area in particular, but they don't seem like, they're not necessarily call shy, but they definitely know when to be quiet. And if you can sneak into some of these drainages that we get into, the elk are just piled in there. We had 3 bulls screaming their head off. We were the only people down in this drainage.
And if there's that many elk down there, the thing that people don't realize is elk, when they're relaxed and not overly pressured, are actually really loud animals.
Yeah.
They break a lot of stuff.
Oh.
They rake their horns. They fight. So if you just kind of let them do their thing, it may take a couple days for you to really pinpoint them. But as long as you know they're there, I know there's 3 bulls in this basin.
Right.
I know that I'm probably the only guy here, or at least it's minimal. Just take a breath. You don't got to dive bomb them with 12 bugles.
Right.
Now, friends of mine like Corey Jacobson would disagree with me.
Right.
But I use his strategy too, but I'm strategic. I look at my style, which, by the way, my style fails a lot too, so it's not like but I look at more my style like mixed martial arts. I'm not entering the ring just as a kickboxer or a jiu-jitsu guy or a boxer or a wrestler. I try to be pretty proficient in all of them. Sort of like UFC fighters. They're not
for sure.
the best at all of them anymore.
Right.
They're like pretty good at all of them. And I have all those tools in my quiver. So if I get into a basin and there's a bull that's really aggressive that I can call in, sure,
Yeah,
I'll
why
call him
not?
in.
Yeah.
I love doing that. But if I get in there and I sense any shyness, now I switch to either I got to ambush them or spot and stalk them. And
Now you're going Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on them.
yeah, I
Yeah.
just switch styles.
Yeah, for sure.
You
Awesome.
want to go to the ground? Let's do some jiu-jitsu. You want to box? Let's box.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to pretend, if you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu and I'm a boxer but I've never done jiu-jitsu, I'm going to get my ass kicked, or vice versa. The point is like you have to adapt.
Yeah, fact.
And I will say that overall, most of these elk have been bugled to 1,000,000 times.
Yeah,
Unless
no
you're
kidding.
hunting on private land
Right.
where they're not as molested. But most of the time, these elk, especially these older bulls, they're just not tolerant to it. And so if you want to kill mature bulls, you have to adapt.
Right.
And you have to try to outsmart them. It's really hard. But I do believe that patience and intelligence, the best hunters that I know are, they approach their hunts extremely intelligent and heady. They don't overthink it.
Yeah.
They go when it's right, but they don't go until it's right. They may sit there for 10 days. I have friends that literally will sit there for 10 days and not make a move.
Wow. That's so.
Now, most of us don't have the liberty of going for 10 days.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But let's say you have 5 days.
Yeah.
Just be smart with it. You don't. A lot of guys, they get out of the truck, bugle, 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 da 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 da, no answers, and they leave.
Yeah.
And then I might be able to go to that basin and be like, yeah, he didn't answer you, but he's there.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's not. You got. That's where where like a little experience comes in. You got to know when to hold him and know when to fold him, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, you should hunt an empty basin for 5 days, but you got to figure it out.
I swear they're here. I hear them.
But I guess the answer to your question is I approach it more strategically than I used to.
Yeah. I mean, complete strategy and
Yep.
methodical. I love it.
Especially because I'm trying to kill. I've become a little bit more of a trophy hunter the last several years because I'm trying to push myself. It has nothing to do with getting in books or anything like that. I'm trying to push myself to kill the most mature animal I can find. And in order to do that, you first have to know that you're even in a mountain range where they exist.
Mm-hmm.
So now I even start with genetics.
Yeah.
Do they exist here? Okay, good. The genetics are here. There's probably a bull here that I want. Great. Great start.
Yeah.
Now, well, what basins? What's the where do I camp? I get all that stuff out of the way. So when I get there, I know my bull exists. I know he's here. I just got to find him.
For sure.
And once I find him, I know I can kill him. I just need time.
I love that, man. Well, Dave, I wanted to thank you for even giving us the time, man. This is completely late notice.
Yeah, dude. I'm honored.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys, and I wish you the most success with all the things that you're doing. And
For sure.
And look, this industry is like, nobody in this room should not want to sit here and talk to you guys. We're the hunting industry.
Yeah.
We're all just hunters. Like I said, dude, I'm just a totally average dude from Dallas, Oregon, 9,000 people. And so I just want to, I've been so fortunate via the trajectory of my career that I've got to do a lot of cool things and meet a lot of cool people and learn so much
Right.
that I want to give it back,
100%.
Because someday I'm going to be an old guy in here and, if what use is it just sitting in my head?
It's not. It's just like kind of the old adage, the old joking adage about money, right?
Right.
You know,
Can't take it with
when
you.
when you're
Nope.
dead, So
That's it.
Same thing. Well, guys, Dave Brinker's on his podcast shows at youtube.com/The Altitude Show.
Yeah.
And really, really great content. He said some things are changing for the better here soon, even making a great show even better, kind of like those goose calls there. And Dave Brinker on Instagram. So,
Thanks, guys.
Dave, I appreciate you for everything you're
Hey,
doing.
guys, I
know you're a
appreciate
busy
it.
dude, man.
Well, I'm supposed to go sell things.
Oh,
There you go.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. Gotta be a
thanks, guys.
businessman now.
I appreciate it. Hey, good
Absolutely.
luck this year.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you. You
appreciate
as
it.
well.
And if you're ever in Colorado, you hit us up, or
Oh, yeah.
really wherever you are. We'll
100%.
get
Thank
after
you.
it with you. Yeah.
Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to meet you. Good to meet you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
man. Yes,
Come
sir.
stop by.
Yeah, for sure.
okay.
We'll do.
Sweet. Awesome, man. That was great. Yep. Hey, have a good one. Yeah, man. Awesome. Awesome dude. Obviously, you guys heard it here first. He's got the experience and the knowledge sense to back everything up. So definitely throw him some support, some love, and just thank him for being on with us. That was huge.
I mean, that's big time, guys. Kobe said, Kobe or Michael?
I was going to say, what Kobe are you referencing?
Oh, sorry, Kobe Bryant.
Rest in peace.
Or Michael Jordan.
Black Mamba.
R.I.P. Kobe, not Michael yet. Knock on wood. So he said you'd miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and I want everyone out there listening. If it's 8 people, if it's 8 million, none of us, Ryan, myself, Nick, Luke has a chance to be great from the very start. So I'm not gonna just include you in that because you can be awesome right now and be great for your whole life. But none of us started out with going into this thinking that we knew too much, and we're very open. But you got to take shots at learning people. You got to take shots at getting to know people and asking questions, man. Ask questions to everyone you see. Go to these trade shows, ask questions. And then if you feel like hey, I've seen you at a couple trade shows, that's kind of what happened with Dave and I. I saw him in Salt Lake at the Western States Hunting Expo, and he remembered me slightly. I remembered him, and I was like, hey, man, I saw him at Mile High yesterday, and I was like, hey, got this podcast. I know, like, it's late. I know you're a Peaks guy, and all that. What's going on, guys? But if you could just take a couple minutes out of your day and just expound knowledge on us, that would be awesome. And that's exactly what he did. And I mean, I can't be more thankful to him for that, man. But get after it, please.
100%. I mean, no matter what, this year is all on us individually.
Yep.
We can all help each other, we can all push each other, but no matter what, at the end of the day, it's on you, what you're willing to do out there in the woods. That is what it's going to matter. And again, that takes very little effort to separate yourself what people want to consider average.
Right.
So
You guys good on everything?
I think so.
Yeah.
That was awesome, man. And
Yeah.
if you guys are here at the Expo at all, definitely
Come say
check out-
hi.
Come say hi. Say what's up to everybody.
I think I'm going to head out here pretty soon after this.
Well, you gotta wait. James said he's almost here. So
Mitchell?
yes,
Really? Oh.
yes, he is.
I'm not heading out.
Mr. Mitchell, that's
Okay.
right.
Oh.
Hey guys, just real quick, we want to thank everybody for listening. Obviously, support us Facebook, Instagram, Harness Adrenaline at Harness Adrenaline. If you ever have any questions, if you're in Colorado, you need some help, reach out to us. We'll definitely be willing to share some information. So,
Yeah,
otherwise,
Get
get after
after
it.
it.